Hey everybody! This series combines a lot of disturbing material with cartoony graphics and odd humor. It's basically the video game version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Let's do it.
Smashtalk.
The Mother series is an odd one to talk about because it really didn't get a lot of exposure over here. We only got one of their games, and it's been plagued with so many problems in development that we don't really know if it's going to continue as a series or not. For now, it's not looking like it, but now, it's already being represented by two characters, Ness and Lucas. Fun fact, Lucas was supposed to replace Ness in Melee. Unfortunately, it looked like they weren't going to release Mother 3 anymore at the making of Melee, so they just left Ness in. Then they ended up releasing it and they added him into Brawl. Because it's such an odd duck, you're not really sure what to do with it. A lot of people want to add a third character. There's a lot who want to take characters out. There's some who want to just leave it as it is, and really, there's no way to tell which is a better choice at this point. I mean, because it's only a series of 3 games in it, and as I said earlier, they had so many problems with the development of both of the sequels that they were released way after. Okay, that's a bit of a lie. Mother 2, Earthbound, I should say, the only one released in America, wasn't delayed too much, but they had a lot of problems in development because it was split between 2 different companies, Ape and Howl, I believe. The third game was delayed by a lot. A lot of people made fun of it, making like Duke Nukem Forever references and everything. But then they actually ended up finishing it, and it was a highly critically acclaimed game. All 3 of them are considered very, very good games. They've got incredibly deep storylines, great characters, unique gameplay. There's definitely no other series like it. However, that doesn't mean that it's easy to figure out what to do with it in Smash. Personally, I would like to see another character because I feel like the series hasn't been mined as much for unique ideas as it could be, because Ness and Lucas are so similar in terms of they're both protagonists who have some psi powers, but not the complete psi powers. And there's so much more to the series that I feel can be represented, and it is a really, really famous series. I personally feel like it deserves another rep, or at least it doesn't deserve to lose reps. One thing that people clue into sometimes is that the first game is the only one that isn't represented. So I've seen some people add Ninten, which I think is a bad idea because it's like adding the protagonist of every Fire Emblem game, where you're just rehashing the same thing over and over again. I think it's far more interesting and far better gameplay-wise to represent something different in the series. Now, a good example of this would be to add Duster, or to add Pooh, or to add somebody who is a heavy physical fighting character. Somebody who is a sidekick. Of course, somebody who still has weight to the story, somebody who's still a recognizable character who has a lot of weight, because you still want to see the big players. I mean, that's the point of Smash. Not to mention, as somebody pointed out on one of the recent roster critiques that P2 Dude Man Guy did, or I should say, Rune and I did, it would be really, really awesome to hear the announcer go, "Pooh!" So, yeah. Now, what's frustrating is I'd really like to add somebody from the first game, but I don't know how fair it is to put in somebody besides Ninten, somebody besides the main character. So, I'm looking at it, and Earthbound doesn't have a lot of recurring characters. It just doesn't. They have a lot of characters who are similar to each other. For example, Ninten's love interest, Anna, is a mirror of Ness's female companion, Polly. Together, the names are Pollyanna, haha. And then, Ninten and Ness are a mirror of each other. Jeff, who's an assist trophy, is a mirror of Lloyd. Lloyd fights with, like, bottle rockets and stuff. There's so many characters. I just don't know which ones to use. Personally, I think Lloyd would be a lot of fun to play with gameplay-wise. It'd be like a childish, more nimble version of Snake, which I would love. You could use Teddy, but I don't think Teddy is as important. He kind of serves as a fill-in for Lloyd at one point, but then he gets critically wounded and or killed, depending on the version. And Lloyd comes back, and he's just not that important. Nobody really has the impact that Ninten has, which stinks. I'd like to put in Anna, who is just all Psi, but I mean, she's Ninten's love interest, so it's weird to have her there without Ninten. The only other choice I could see is Gygus. And Gygus, well, I don't think he's really workable moveset-wise. Now, this leaves us with two places to pull characters from, Mother 2 and Mother 3. And of course, it's better if they're, more closely connected to Ness or Lucas, or in some way branch off of them, just to show that connection. Now, Mother 2 slash Earthbound has 4 playable characters, and they all form a party behind Ness. Ness is your main character. You follow him around the entire time. Yeah. You've got Paula, which is a very, very psychically in-tuned girl who is kind of your secret weapon at the end because she can pray, connect to people, and you need her to defeat Gygus at the end. I don't see her working as well, mostly because she's all Psi. We've covered a lot of the Psi with Ness and Lucas. Then you got Jeff. Jeff Andonuts. He is the mechanical genius. He's an assist trophy. You're all familiar with him shooting off all those rockets and everything. You can make a pretty cool moveset out of that, kind of like I want to do with Lloyd. Jeff is one of Ness's closest friends. He's very, very loyal to them. His father is really important in the game, actually. He allows them to travel back in time to defeat Gygus when he's still weak and defeatable. So there's his plot importance. Then you've got Pooh. Pooh is, Then you've got Pooh. Pooh is mostly a martial artist. He fights with his fists. He doesn't use weapons like the other kids do. They lower his defense, except for one particular weapon, which is the Sword of Kings, which would make a pretty awesome final smash. Seeing as how his ultimate attack, PK Starstorm, has been taken by Ness and Lucas. Now, Pooh could be pretty cool in terms of being a martial artist who also has psionics. So he'd be more physically based, but still use a little bit of psi here and there. Sort of like taking what Ness and Lucas do and switching it so that it's predominantly physical prowess with just a little bit of psi. Now, Mother 3 is interesting. Even though Lucas is the main protagonist, he's not the only main character. You don't play as him the whole time. You jump back and forth between, I think, 6 or 7 different characters. 6. And a lot of them actually have, I think, a good chance at being an interesting playable character who's important enough to get a spot. The first of which you're probably familiar with because of Pizza Dude Man Guy or just knowing the series. And that's Duster. Duster is a thief. He's a thief who fights with staples. Not like, but like staples that are huge. He climbs walls with them. He's very, very mobile. He fights with them. He's very, very flexible. I don't think he has any psi. He's got a limp, which could add an interesting element to Smash. And he's generally a very unique character. Kumatora is the only playable woman who doesn't fall in line with Polly and Anna. She's a real badass. She has psi, but she was raised to be really tough. She's not all sensitive or anything. She's a tomboy. She'd be a fun character. She's not one of my top choices, but she could work if you're looking for a female rep. Flint is Lucas's father, and even though he's only playable in the first chapter, due to a bug in the game, it looks like he was actually meant to be playable in the later chapters because he can equip most of Lucas's really, really awesome weapons. So if you're looking for a adult representative or representative without any psi, who isn't a mechanical genius like Jeff or Lloyd, Flint could work. He's a very, very important character. Not one of my top choices, but he could work. Okay, now here's where I think it's a definite yes. The Masked Man, aka Klaus. Spoiler alert, Lucas has a twin brother named Klaus. Get it? The names are anagrams of each other. He goes out looking for revenge after their mother's death. Ends up being manipulated by Porky and turned evil. You have to fight him in the end. Lucas can't attack him because he knows that it's Klaus. And eventually, Klaus becomes, self-conscious, wins out against the evil, and kills himself. Sorry if you haven't played the game yet, or if you're really, really wanting to. It'll still make you cry, probably. Emotional scene. Only thing is, he fights with a sword and lightning. If you can find a way to differentiate his swordplay with the other sword characters, maybe by working in the lightning or his other capabilities, that could be really, really cool. I think he's one of the top choices for a new Earthbound rep. I think he's the only enemy that can be a playable character instead of a boss in Smash. So that's basically all the characters. Now the big debate is, should you put in a rep or not? A lot of people say the series is dead. Um, the guy who made the series, Itoi, said that he doesn't want to make a Mother 4. However, he said it's because he wants to be the one playing it this time. So it's not that he wants to stop the series. I think it's that he wants to let somebody else take the reins. They've still been discussing it because they're still discussing whether to do a pack of all three Mother games put together. So who knows what's going to happen with the series? It's always been up and down. It's always been stop and go. But every time it's come out, it's been an amazing game. It's one of their most thorough. It's one of their most engrossing. If you haven't played it, you need to get a ROM of it or something. Or, buy Earthbound, since that one's actually available in America. But for the first and third game, find a way to play it. These games are really, really good, guys, especially if you like RPGs. If you don't like RPGs, this isn't your standard RPG, so you may still enjoy it anyways. It's got a great sense of humor to it. I don't think we should take anybody out. Honestly, the only time we took characters out before, I feel like there was a specific motivation behind it. Roy was just an advertising thing. So, they had a good reason to take him out. He wasn't that relevant in Fire Emblem. Dr. Mario, there wasn't much of a need for. I mean, they made him and then they realized, well, it's basically the same guy. There's no real reason to play as him instead of normal Mario. Young Link was just being replaced by Toon Link. Pichu was another pointless character. I mean, he didn't have any incredible significance. He was just a smaller Pikachu. See, Ness and Lucas are both very important characters, and they are different enough to leave them in. They're more different than Fox and Falco are, so I don't think they need to be taken out due to cloning. They have very different gameplay styles, and they're both great representatives of a great series, a iconic series. So I wouldn't take them out. I think it's very, very likely that there won't be a new rep and it'll just stay the same. But hey, I'd love to see a new one. Just my personal preference, though. So yeah, this was a really short one. I didn't go very in depth because I think the I think the debate between characters isn't as complicated as the debate of whether to have a new character. So as for what I'm going to do next, there's not too many other series that I feel like need a lot of discussion. I think I'm going to do Mario eventually. It's just the size of it that scares me is the main thing. Because, I mean, Pokemon was scary enough. Mario is going to be 10 times harder. So, yeah. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Whatever that means.